So always inspect these super well. Even though this thing has no miles on it, 20 minutes run time, probably going to replace it anyways. And the other side of this story is this is a proven part somewhat. So I've had these shear off right here. These are an aftermarket, superior to the original replacement. Doesn't have the plastic collar here. This one looks like an ARP one. I haven't been having problems with the ARP ones, but some of the other metal replacement ones, they tend to break off right there. Hey, why don't they just grab one? So, there. Hope I'm in frame. Both times I was fortunate enough that these broke on the test stand. My stand has the ignition's run through a low oil pressure switch, so the thing shut off. And it was a long night because that's the first thing goes in the block pretty much. So, okay. I was very fortunate when these broke. It was on my engine run stand. So, didn't happen to the customer when he's driving down the road. I also have wired into my unit a low oil pressure switch, wired into the ignition. When anything happens, I lose oil pressure on my test stand. Cuts the ignition out, quits running. I was very fortunate that didn't happen. Of course, I still had to take the engine off the stand, take the pan off, but hey, at least I didn't take the engine out. This here's about the best $10 you're ever going to spend if you like playing with engines. This is air hose, but you could just go to any parts store, get yourself some 3/8 fuel line. I'll show you what that's all about. I'm a little bit OCD or fanatical, I don't know what you want to call it. Always make sure that the nuts go back on the same bolt they came out of. I mean, there's going to be differences. There's going to be a little bit of, you know, them getting friendly with each other, all that kind of crap. So just put them back exactly where they came from. Yeah, usually they're not quite oil suctioned in like this one, but I'm not feeling anything there, but still, that's 20 minutes of run time, and we do have a bit of an issue there. I think these might be A-series bearings. I don't think these are even tri-metal. Yes, these are A series. That means that this is not laminated. It's one strip of aluminum. Not my choice for that type of engine. Anyways, these things I was talking about, save yourself a crankshaft. Put them on your studs, get some 3/8, get some 7/16 in case you're doing a big block with a 7/16 stud. Get yourself a couple pieces of 5/16 for little Ford engines. If you're pushing your piston out, if the threads on this super hard rod bounce on that crankshaft journal, you're going to nick it. And then she's off to get possibly ground, at the least polished. And I'll just guide that right out of there now. Always stand like this, put my leg up against there, catch that piston with my leg. Just like that. I'll come back later and we'll check our piston clearance. Very nice pistons, Icons. Well, these are an aftermarket rod of some type. I don't recognize them right off the bat. They're definitely not GM rods. Oh, actually, they are a GM rod. Maybe part of their GM performance line. One thing I noticed, the ring gaps are lined up. They should be, pretty much opposite of each other. All in all, very nice parts, very nice shape, but I did mess up a bit. I'll show you what I did. Where are we here? One thing I like to do now, before I take it all apart, because if there's a problem, I want to find it while the parts are dirty before we finish our machining and stuff. I want to check my rod side clearance. It's a lot of theory these days into what you should run for rod side clearance. I'm just going to make it very simple. You have factory specs. You have specs if you buy new rods or cranks. Stick with what the manufacturers say. But within that range, depends what you're building. We'll do a little bit of a short on this. If you're building a street engine, you want to be within the OEM specs for your rod side clearance. If you're building a drag race engine, you're going to want to be on the tight side of that clearance. Plus maybe a little bit more rod bearing to crank clearance. The reason behind that is you want to keep that oil in there to cushion it. If you're building an endurance engine, a boat engine, an oval track engine, you want to open up your side clearance. Make sure you have a high volume pump. You want to open that up so the oil flows out. with it, it's going to carry some heat. You don't want to get excessive with it because you still want to keep your oil cushion in there. Go to the maximum on your factory OEM clearance. Sometimes you don't have any choice, you know. You have a set of rods, they've machined them a certain way. Sometimes when the guy grinds the crank, he grinds it a little bit too wide. You end up with, you know, a little bit of an excessive clearance in there. This one here, they're at 22 thou. That's a wide clearance. But for a boat engine, a big block boat engine, it's going to go out on a lake. You got to remember, boat engines use often in a enclosed cover. They run a bit hotter. This one, you know, it's going to sit there and run 4,000, maybe 5,000 all day long. That's a lot for a stockish big block. Having that clearance opened up so that oil can flow out through that clearance and pull some heat with it is a good thing. This one, that's that way. So I'm just looking for anything that's out of place here. I'm looking at the machine surfaces here, you know, where they ground them flat to resize the rods. I'm looking at the finish on the rod. I'm looking to see if we have a shadow on the edges. See if the sides have been dressed. Looking at the back side of the bearing, looking at the surface of the bearing.